Hi guys, welcome back to Abby's Place, the place where no matter where you are, you can always feel a little at home. I'm your host, Abigail Martin. If you're joining me from Spotify, welcome. Apple Music, welcome. And special thanks if you're joining me from YouTube because y'all can see me right now. If you don't know, I'm filming all of these and putting them up on my YouTube channel, which is Abby's Place Podcast, if you want to watch visually along with audibly. And if you're joining from YouTube, you'll notice I am in a completely new setup right now. I am no longer in my room. I decided to film in my living room today because it just makes me feel a lot more inspired. Apologies for the reflection back there. I think next time I'm going to try to cover it with a sign or something, but I might start filming out here because I just love my living room. I have tried so hard since moving into this house to make this house a reflection of who I am on the inside. So to describe it for the people who aren't watching visually, I've got some candlesticks lit. I've got my plants everywhere. There's like fake butterflies everywhere. There's disco balls. It's very Abby. So anyway, I actually think I might start filming from out here because it feels a lot more inspiring and the lighting is a heck of a lot better. So welcome to the podcast. If this is your first time listening, my name is Abby. This is just a place where we all go to hang out. Where you can go to feel at home, where you can go to feel like you have a friend. I mean, I'm your friend parasocially. So yeah, thanks for joining. This is going to be episode 4, so can't believe we've gotten through 4 episodes. But in this episode, I want to catch you guys up on the stuff I've been doing, and then I also want to talk about some more practical stuff when it comes into getting into van life. Because I posted a question sticker on my story on Instagram a little bit ago, and I was like, what do you guys want to hear on the podcast? Because I know I don't live in a van full time anymore, but like I know that's kind of what I'm known for online. So is that what you guys want to hear? Like what's the deal? You know, what do you guys want me to talk about? And a lot of people said like advice for getting into van life, but for more practical stuff like showers and bathroom situation and solo travel and all that kind of stuff. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about all of the ins and outs and my advice on the practical side of moving into a van or traveling by yourself. So if you're interested in that, keep listening. It's going to be a good one. I wrote down some stuff that I've learned after 4 years on the road. First of all, though, I want to catch you guys up on what I've been up to because there was no episode last week. And the reason there was no episode last week is because I moved back into the van. And let me tell you, last week was a lot. Just to give a brief synopsis of why I moved back into the van just for a trip and where I went, I basically overbooked myself like crazy and did not realize it. So my sister's birthday was a few weeks ago, but I couldn't make it up there for her actual birthday. And so my family decided we were going to do a little get together the week or 2 weeks after her birthday, I guess. So it was the week after her birthday. Yeah. So we decided we're going to do that in Bellingham. And I was like, perfect. I don't have anything going on that weekend until I realized I had also committed to my other friend about being in Wyoming on Monday. So that meant I had to be in Bellingham Saturday, Sunday, and Wyoming on Monday. If you don't know, Wyoming is a 15-hour drive from Bellingham, if I'm correct. I think 15 hours. And in my brain, I said, I can do it. One thing about me, I am so stubborn. And once I set my mind to something and give my word, I will not back down. I'm also not afraid of a drive, right? Like most of my life, the last 4 years has been spent on the road. So that's not something that's new to me, you know? So I moved back into the van last Friday. I immediately drive from Bend to Bellingham, 8-hour drive, right? And honestly, it was really nice. I hadn't done a long drive in a while. That's a lie. I've actually been driving a lot recently, but I hadn't done like a van drive in a while. So I packed up my stuff. I got all ready. I got my little groceries in my fridge. I got Archie ready. And we hit the road and we drove up to Bellingham to go see my sister, my mom, and my grandma. And it was really fun. My mom rented this Airbnb out in this little town outside of Bellingham. And we just stayed there for a couple days. We played a lot of guitar and I got to sing with my grandma, which was really special or my Nana. She used to sing to me all the time when I was growing up. And so it was just like really fun to sing songs with her. So that was probably my highlight of that weekend. So that was really fun. hung out in Bellingham for a few days, got my hair cut. I don't know if you guys can notice if you're watching from YouTube, but I did get my hair cut and I feel much more like me. The last couple episodes, my hair was struggling. Okay, let's not talk about it. But there's this one girl I always go to. I'm actually gonna make a video about this and it might be up by the time this episode launches. But there's this girl I always go to in Bellingham to get my hair done from because she just knows how to do it so well. And I only have to go every 6 months. And so once I need my haircut, I'll just drive up to Bellingham and make a trip out of it because my sister lives there anyway. And so it just kind of works out perfectly. But while I was up there, she ended up getting me in. She's an angel. Her name is Autumn. Her Instagram is Autumn Cuts My Hair. And she is the best hairdresser I've ever been to. She only does haircuts. So she really, really, really specializes in it. And my hair, I love layers and I love like a Farrah Fawcett, Stevie Nicks kind of vibe, but not as like shaggy. And so she calls it a butterfly cut is what she gives me. I don't know if you guys can see it really well, but she did an amazing job. We've got the curtain bangs going. We've got the layers. And then for styling, I always get questions on this. Sorry if you're not interested in this at all, but whatever, I'm still going to talk about it. For styling, I use the Hot Tools round brush blow dryer, and I just let my hair get like a little bit dry out of the shower, and then I use that to actually like fully dry it, and it just gives it a lot of volume. And then I use a dry shampoo along with that from the Brad Mondo collection. So that's how I style my hair, if you guys are wondering. I get a lot of questions on that, surprisingly, online. Maybe I'll do a video on it soon. But anyway, I ended up getting my hair cut from her, which I love, and I feel much more like me. And then right after I got my hair cut, I drove to Montana. So for the timeline, Friday, drove to Bellingham. Saturday, hung out in Bellingham. Sunday, got my hair cut, drove 8 hours to Montana, which was a very long drive. The van is great, and I love it, but I definitely, Archie gets a lot more stressed in it than he used to. And I don't know why that is. He used to like not be stressed on drives at all. He used to be super chill. For some reason, he's just developed some anxiety over the last couple years. And it just really stresses him out to be driving in the van that much without a lot of brakes. He gets like really antsy, and he starts jumping on my lap, which is tough. And I've tried to like leash him to the front seat, which I know is like the safest option, but he ends up just like freaking out. And so I don't know, I'm trying to find a better solution. In the 4Runner, I put him in the back seat and he's leashed in the back seat. In the van, I haven't found a really good solution for that, so I'm trying, but the van definitely stresses him out more, which stresses me out more. So I think next time I take a short trip like that, I'm just not going to take him because it's just not worth it. I'll just have someone dog sit him. But I really wanted to have him with me and I wanted him to see my mom. So anyway, I drove to Montana. It was a really long day because Archie and I kept having to stop because he kept getting stressed. But it was still really fun, and I got to like kind of get back to this part of myself that I don't see as often because I feel like I've settled a lot in the last 6 months, which has felt really nice. And kind of like I talked about in other episodes, since settling, I felt a lot of really fun parts of myself come out again that I hadn't seen in the van. And then when I get back into the van, I see all these like other parts of myself, like more of the dirtbaggy side. And like, I just want to be outside constantly. I'm a lot more active. Like I just feel really good to be back in the van. I'm a lot more social. Like I love being out with people when I'm in the van. And then also I sleep so well in the van. Oh my God. I don't think I've slept that well in so long. I don't know what it is, but yeah, the van, great. And I got to visit one of my favorite campsites in Montana that I've only ever been to in the summer. So I've only been there when it's like slam packed with people. And it's basically this campsite that's right next to the river. It's beautiful. I posted a video of it on my Instagram and my TikTok. But it's this campsite that's right next to the river. Yeah, it's free. It's on Forest Service land and it has like a fire ring. Oh, it's just beautiful. So I visited there and I was the only one there, and it was just like such a peaceful thing to wake up to. I woke up, played guitar, Archie got to run around. It was amazing. And then I drove from there to Wyoming, which was another 8-hour drive. Now, the reason I was going to Wyoming was because my friend called me a few weeks ago and was like, hey, I'm shooting this kind of like mockumentary pilot episode for this series that I'm working on. Do you want to be in it? Like, have you ever acted? And I was like, I was a theater kid for sure. Like I tried to be in every play I could when I was a kid, but I also was in sports. So like I didn't get to very much, but I've always loved the idea of acting. But also I'm tatted, like I've got lots of tattoos and I know that would be a struggle with acting. So it's just never something that I think I'll really get into. But I was like, yeah, I'm down to play like a short part or something. So anyway, I was like, yeah, I'm super down. And he said, cool, this is when we're filming. It's going to be in Jackson, Wyoming, and these are the dates, and this is your script. I was only going to be in one scene, so it's like super chill, easy to memorize. And I committed to that, and then, again, just overbooked myself. So after Montana, drove right to Wyoming, got to Jackson, pulled up to his Airbnb, and we just started running our lines because the next day we were shooting. And it ended up being such a fun week, guys. Oh my God. It was just the most spontaneous and unexpected trip that I have taken in a while. Like, it was so fun. I basically got down to Jackson. I meet all the crew, and everybody's just super cool. I mean, think of like the crew that would be filming a dirtbag mockumentary. It's obviously going to be a fun group of people. So everybody was really cool. Everybody's super creative and very talented. A lot of just really cool actors, and seeing them, work in their craft. Like, I've never seen someone act before. So it was just, I mean, of course, like in plays and stuff I have and on movies and all that, but like in person, watching them just right in front of me act is, I don't know, it's just really cool to see. It's so fun being around creative and inspiring people. So loved that. So the next day after getting there, we shot the scene. It was really fun. I thought it went really well. My character's name is Madison. So I was Madison for a couple hours, and that was fun. And after that night, we all celebrated by going swing dancing. And so when I went out swing dancing, I didn't even know that we were going to. So I literally go into the bar, and then I'm like, wait, are we going to be dancing? And I was in like a sweater and jeans and not dancing attire. I knew I was going to get sweaty. So I literally walk in. I was in my sweater and jeans. I order my food, and then I walk my ass back to the van, change into some dancing clothes, tank top, tighter jeans, and my Blundstones, and then walked my happy ass back to the dance floor and got to dancing because Lord knows if I see a dance floor, I am on it. I will never pass up a dance floor, even if I don't know what dance they're doing. Guys, I've never like actually swing danced a day in my life. Was I going to try my best? Yes. I used to take salsa lessons all the time in San Diego. I love to dance. It's so fun. I think dancing is one of the best things you can do for your mental health. It's so fun. Anyway, I immediately get asked to dance by some guys there, and they were really cool. They were really, really good. One of them was actually like an instructor kind of for swing dancing. So he was just like, he literally, like when he would dip me, my feet were off the ground, which I've never done before. Also, I'm tall, guys. I'm 5'10". Yeah, 5'10". And I'm not like tiny, okay? I'm not a toothpick. I'm like, feel like I'm pretty fit in shape, kind of vibe. But like, your girl's got muscle, your girl's strong, and your girl's not like tiny, okay? And he was tossing me around like I was nothing. And it was awesome. It was so fun. So we danced until probably like 1 a.m., I think, is like we were kind of like going from bar to bar dancing. We danced until like 1 a.m., went back, played some games at the Airbnb, and then I ended up going to bed at like probably 4 a.m. And then the next day, like the next couple of days, I just kind of hung out with friends, roamed around Jackson. I got recognized a lot in Jackson, which was actually really fun. I ended up hanging out with a few of the people that like came up to me and knew me from social media, which I've gotten more used to it over the years because I generally don't identify myself with social media, and I'm going to talk about this in another episode. Sorry, this is a long yap sesh. This is a lot of catch up, but it's been a week, so hang in there. We're going to get to the good stuff in a second, but I just got to catch you up on this because it's so fun to talk about. Anyways, I ended up hanging out with some of the people that recognize me, and I've gotten used to this over the years, but it's still kind of like, it's kind of crazy every time because I just don't identify myself as like a presence on social media. I just see myself as Abby. Like, I'm just Abby. I'm just out here. Like, anything I post on social media is so, I hope you guys know, it is so genuine. Like, I have no filter ever. So I've just always been that on social media. And so in real life, I'm the same. I hope I'm the same in real life, that I come across on socials. So anyway, it still kind of trips me out when people come up and they're like, oh my God, I followed you for years. And I'm like, no way, let's be friends. But I understand that that's kind of weird for like these people who have, had this parasocial relationship with me. And then I'm like, you want to hang out? You want to go get coffee right now? I have no plans. They're probably like, actually, no, but most of them super cool. So that happened a lot. And I actually, when I was on my way back to Bend, I was at this coffee shop in Boise, and this girl came up to me and she was like, hey, my dad and I have followed your page for a while. And my dad, he studied your videos when he was building his van. And she was showing me pictures of it. And then I ended up going up to their family and talking to them and meeting her dad. And they were just super cool. So more of the story, if you see me in person, please say hi. I love it. I love when people come up to me and they're like, hey, I hope this isn't weird, but I follow you. And I'm like, what's your name? Let's be friends. Honestly, a lot of my friends that I hang out with right now, I have met through them coming up to me and recognize me from socials. So honestly, it's great. I love it because it makes it easier for me to make friends, and y'all are just cool as fuck, So anyway, after my week in Jackson, I was 100% exhausted, so tired, so tired. So I drove back to Bend. I immediately just hopped into bed and slept, and I feel like I came down with another cold. I've been just catching sickness after sickness recently, and it's because I have just been going, not sleeping. That's one thing I'm trying to prioritize now is sleep, but got back to Bend, got back to my house, and let me tell you, it is so nice to have a place to come back to that is my own. In the past, when I felt burnt out in the van, I would have to go to my parents' house, and my parents, it's been a roller coaster the last couple of years. They got divorced about a year ago, and so going home is just not the easiest thing sometimes. It's a little bit heavy, and it's kind of okay, I go home. When I was in the van, I was okay, I go home, and then I have to deal with all this shit that I maybe haven't dealt with, and I have to kind of take on these emotional loads that I'm not equipped to right now. So it is really nice to have my own space to come back to and recharge. And Archie is just so happy. He came in and he immediately just went into bed and fell asleep. And so I feel really, really thankful to have this space. And also I just love this space. I'm so happy right now. So the van is great, but also having a balanced lifestyle, would not trade it for the world. I'm so, so happy with everything going on right now. I'm also ovulating right now, if you can't tell. So my mood is just boosted. And my prescription, if you don't know, I'm chronically ADHD. I just got diagnosed 4 or 5 months ago, but it was an obvious diagnosis, and got on medication. And I switched from the instant release Adderall to the extended release. And it has honestly been so nice. The Adderall helps so much. I never knew that my brain could just function normally. And I want to talk about this anyway in another episode, but getting on medication to help your brain function, could not recommend enough. Whether that's help with ADHD or anxiety or depression, I just think destigmatizing that and getting on medication for help, adding another tool to your toolbox, is very, very important, because I didn't want to get on Adderall for the longest time because of the stigma around it, or any brain meds for that matter, because of all this stigma. So very thankful for that. Anyway, when I was in the van, I was thinking a lot about just my journey from moving into a van at 19 and where I'm at now with it, and how I've kind of come full circle in a lot of ways. And there are a lot of things just practically in the van that I wish I would have known, but I had to kind of learn through when I was moving into it and building it. First of all, moving into it. Second of all, building it. I wish I would have just gotten some advice from people who had actually lived on the road. Most of my advice came from these online forums, or just my parents, or YouTube videos from people I didn't know and hadn't seen their van in person. And so, I just wish I would have talked to more people about it in person. So anyway, with that being said, I feel I have a lot of big sister advice for you guys who maybe want to move into a van, or if you're just interested in the lifestyle in general. These are my biggest things that I wish I would have known in a practical sense rather than an emotional sense, because last episode we talked about all of the more feelsy stuff, and this one's just practical. So first of all, if you are going to be building your own van, if you have decided, hey, I don't have the money to hire someone, or I want to build it myself, or I just want to have a project or whatever, give yourself time. When I was building my first van at 19, I said, easy, I can do this in 3 months. Do you guys think I did it in 3 months? Raise your hand if you think I did it in 3 months. No. It took me 6 months. And also, in that 6 months, like when I started the van build, I had never used a drill before. I had never picked up a drill or any power tool for that matter. So for the first month, I was just learning how to use tools basically. And not only that, but when you're building a van, you have to learn, like if you're going to do a full van build, which obviously I was because I am the queen of biting off more than I can chew. I was going to do full electrical, full water system, bed, cabinets, drawers, subfloor, solar panels, all that. So I was going to go the whole 9 yards, and that is a tough challenge. It's definitely doable, but I will say give yourself more time than you think. Whatever time you think it's going to take you, double it, because it'll just take the pressure off of you so much, and you won't be rushing through things. Rushing through things, just you're going to, the saying, measure twice, cut once. Yeah. Do that. Because if you rush through things, you're just going to have to do it again. After 5 months of building my van, I moved into it. And then the next 6 months, I was on and off fixing stuff all the time. Like within the first couple weeks of living in it, one of my cabinet faces fell off and I had to fix that. And my electrical shut down and I had to fix that. And then I redid my cabinets, like my upper cabinets in my van. I tore them all out and just completely redid them. And then, what else? 8 months after moving into the van, I did a full kitchen remodel. I ended up hiring this guy in Salt Lake, pulling my van up to his house, paying him $700 to just rip everything out and remodel the kitchen. Bless his heart. He did an amazing job. But my kitchen was just so janky because I had never built anything before, right? Second of all, ask for help. Ask for help when you're building stuff. I am so proud that my pride gets in the way of everything. So if you're building a van, ask for help and accept help when people offer it, because doing it alone is really hard, especially if you've never built anything. And this is not to make it sound daunting. You definitely can do it, but just take your time, go easy on yourself, enjoy the process, make it enjoyable for yourself, and lower the pressure, okay? Just lower the pressure. And maybe if you're trying to do van life content, maybe wait until the van's built, because trying to film the van build and putting that pressure on myself while building it was just horrendous. So I ended up not filming a lot of it because it was just awful. But the pressure on me was, Anyway, moral of the story, go easy on yourself. And with that, tour people's vans that have vans. See what you like. Because I had never seen a van before. So I'd never been in a camper van before, maybe one or two, but rare. And so my first van, the setup was just semi-impractical. I made the bed way too big and the kitchen was way too wide. So I didn't have a bunch of living space. I built this bench that was just not in the right spot. And my van was a lot smaller than the build was, if that makes sense. I had a Ford Transit mid-roof and she was little. So the build was just too big for the van itself. The build that I had been copying was from these people online that had a 170 Sprinter. If you don't know, that's probably twice the size of mine. So I had I don't know what was going on in my 19-year-old brain, but she wasn't very wise. So tour people's vans, figure out what you like, and then spend some time thinking about it, mapping out your build. There's a lot of tools out there where you can literally design a van build in a computer, which is what I did for my third van. And I mapped out everything before I even saw the van itself. So take some time to plan, meet some people who have vans, and see what you like, see what you don't like. And with that, build the van for you. If you're someone who doesn't like to make your bed every day, maybe don't do a convertible bed, like a dinette. Maybe don't do one of those ones that goes from a couch into a bed every day and you have to set that up or else there's just no living space. If you're someone who doesn't like to make your bed already, you're not going to want to make it in a van. I promise you. You're especially not going to want to make it in the van. So build the van for you. If you're someone who doesn't really like cooking, you eat out a lot, you don't really like cooking, or you make a lot of quick meals, maybe don't put in an oven and a huge stovetop. Maybe just have a portable camp stove that you use sometimes and just keep the extra counter space for other things. If you're someone who loves being clean and showering, maybe don't move into a van. Maybe just stay in a house because there are going to be times when you're not showering. No, I'm kidding. But if you're someone who loves being clean and showering, make sure you have like a relatively good shower setup. And I'll talk about more of this in a second. But my first van just was not cohesive to the person I am at all. Like at all. So, and that was because I built it from someone else, you know. I will say I did build my first van with the hope that I would meet someone on the road and fall in love and they would move into my van with me. So I made my bed really big. And I don't regret that because I did meet someone on the road, fall in love with them, and we started traveling together. So I am thankful I did that because the bed that I built in my first van was just massive. So it was big enough for two people, one being 5'10", the other being 6'2", and a dog. So that was really nice. But everything else in that van, just impractical. My cabinets that I first had in the van didn't even have faces on them. So just my stuff would just fall out all the time. Oh my God, you guys want to hear a funny story? In my first van, I was dead set on having a plant in my first van. Don't have plants in your van. They're not going to stay alive. Guys, one night in freezing temperatures where you like leave your van and get a hotel or something, your plants are going to die. Okay, don't get a plant. Get some fake plants. Get maybe a snake plant. Maybe. Like I have a snake plant over here. And they're great. I haven't watered that thing in months and they're doing awesome. So, but don't have plants because I had this plant and he was a pothos named Jerry. Jerry was hung up on the side wall of my van right next to my light switch for some reason. I did that. So anytime I was driving and I would go around a corner or like over a speed bump, Jerry was in a glass pot. Okay, a glass pot hanging on the side of my wall in like a macrame thing right next to my light switch. So anytime I was driving and I would go over a bump or whatever, Jerry would start swinging and Jerry would hit the light switch and then the lights would turn on and then, God, I don't know why this went on for so long. So I would be driving around with my friends in my van and I would go over a bump and my lights would turn on in my van and they'd be like, what the fuck? And then I'd go, God damn it, Jerry. And then I'd swerve my van. My poor friends, I'd swerve my van and the lights would shut off again. And they'd be like, what the? Who's Jerry? I'm like, sorry, it's just my plant that I refuse to move because I don't know, in my brain, once I put it there, there's no other place it could be. And then once I move the plant, life-changing. But there's probably 4 months of me having that plant hanging on the wall, it hitting the wall, light switch coming on. Anyway, R.I.P. Jerry. He did not last long. I did end up keeping him alive for a while because I was in San Diego most of the time, but that plant had a short life. And it was a pothos, and those are so easy to take care of. So, anyway. For the love of God, don't have plants in your van. Don't do it. Take my advice. Okay, I want to talk about my shower setup because I get a lot of questions on that. Like, if you live in a van, how did you shower? Because I didn't have a shower in my first van or my third. My second van, I did have a shower in, and I want to talk about that. So, as far as showering goes, biggest advice, get a Planet Fitness membership. I know I'm not the first person to say that, but you're going to thank yourself if you just shower at gyms. It's just the easiest option. My favorite way to do it is if you know that you're going to need a shower in like the next day or two, go see if you can find a 24-hour Planet Fitness and sleep in the Planet Fitness parking lot, get up early in the morning, go shower, make that like the start of your day because it does take longer. Like you have to pack your bag to go in there, you go into shower, and then you have to like go into the changing room. It's just longer than taking a shower at your house, right? Like sometimes it takes like an hour. So give yourself time. My favorite way to do it was I would go sleep in a 24-hour Planet Fitness parking lot if they'd allowed it. Usually I would look on iOverlander and see if they allowed overnight parking. And then in the morning, I would wake up, go shower, have that be the start of my day. And in the van, showering occurred once every 3 days. Now, when I first moved into the van, it was COVID, so there were no showers. No gyms were open, and we didn't have a lot of options, okay? So my first van, I did have a last-minute kind of last-ditch option where my side window that was next to my sink opened, and I would take my sink nozzle, put it out the window, and then shower off out there, which honestly worked really well when I was in a warm climate. However, I wasn't in a lot of like really warm climates. I was in San Diego, but it was cold at the time. Like it was like max probably like 55 degrees, and there was a lot of rain and wind and all that. So I also used a lot of beach showers. However, these beach showers were also cold. So before Planet Fitness opened, I think it took about a month and a half for Planet Fitness to reopen after I started living in the van. So for the first month and a half of living on the road, I was using cold beach showers or my cold van shower. So I don't think I had a warm shower in a while. There were a few times where I would hop on Tinder or Bumble, because I wasn't using Hinge at the time. I would hop on Tinder or Bumble, and I would match with someone on there, and I would say, hey, this is weird. Do you have a shower in your house? And we would go out to dinner, and then they would let me use their shower. And that might sound really weird to a lot of people, but a lot of these people I was matching with were like really cool. And I never had a bad experience, but I did make a video on that online, and it went pretty viral, and it was pretty controversial because a lot of people were like, you're just using them for your shower. And I'm like, they consented to it. They said I could use their shower, so whatever. Didn't sleep with any of them. Hell yeah. But that was another option that I did when I first moved in the van. However, once Planet Fitness opened back up, that was my main way of showering. It is still my main way of showering when I'm living in the van. My van that I have now, I do have an outdoor shower on, and I do have hot water, which is really, really nice. I highly recommend that. That is probably the best shower setup that I could say you could have, is a good high pressure outdoor shower with hot water, because that means like you're gonna be getting the same amount of clean really that you would with a regular hot water shower, because hot water obviously does work better to like get clean because you can stay in it longer, it's not as cold. And it's just kind of nice to shower outside too. And then also you're not wasting space in your van with like a full shower setup. So if I could give you like if I could pick one, I would say do an outdoor shower and then use Planet Fitness when you need to. In my van in Europe, because if you don't know, I lived in a van in Europe for a while. My ex still lives in Europe in that van. Hi, ex. He actually FaceTimed me the other day. We love my ex. We're still great friends. And he's still living in that van. But we did have a shower in that van. We didn't build it. The van came pre-built. We just did a lot of upgrades to it. So the shower setup in there was like a full shower, but it just wasn't very practical. Like it was pretty small. And also the hot water was only like, I think 5 liters, which was that's not a lot of hot water. That doesn't last long at all. So like, I think I took 2 showers in that van total, and it was a mess doing the showers there. So now the shower in that van is just used as closet space. We have a hanger in there where, I don't know why I keep saying he has a hanger in there where he just hangs all his clothes, and a toilet in there as well. So it's like kind of a bathroom, but it's mostly a closet. So I've had the indoor shower and I did not like it. You can definitely do it practically. I know Court and Nate, they have a van right now that like they did a really, really practical shower setup in their van that they have because they live in it full time and have it like parked on their property. I don't know why I know so much about them anyway. Hi, Court and Nate. But their shower setup is very practical. So if you do, like if you're dead set on wanting a shower inside your van, I would do that. As far as toilet goes, my first van, all my vans have always had composting toilets, okay? And I have never done van life without a toilet, and I never would. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't need a toilet. I'll just go dig a hole. You're gonna want a toilet. There's gonna be times when you have to pee so bad, and you don't want to go find a public bathroom, and you don't want to go squat outside, and you just want to stay in your van, and it's late at night, and it's cold out, and it's raining, and you don't want to have to find another option. Have a toilet in your van. Have some kind of toilet. It can just be one of those cassette toilets if you only want to use it for peeing. I had a composting toilet, and as a girl with tummy issues, godsend, lifesaver. My first toilet was a Nature's Head. Love the Nature's Head. It is a big toilet, so make sure you have room for it. But the Nature's Head was my favorite out of all the toilets I've used. Nature's Head, love them. Wish I could have fit one in my van that I have now, but I could not fit it. So in my first van, I had a Nature's Head composting toilet. And if you don't know what a composting toilet is, it is a separation toilet. So basically, all the pee, the liquids, go into a pee jug, and then you just dump that every couple days. You can dump it like if you're out in the woods and you're away from any rivers or water sources or anything. What I like to do is find like some really soft ground, dig a little bit of a hole, dump it there, cover it up, just so there's not like any residue. And then you can also dump it in public bathrooms, or you can dump it at a dump station. So there's a lot of options where you can dump your pee jugs, right? It's not fun, but it's not a bad option, and you get used to it over the years. And then all of the waste, all of the other stuff goes into the back section of the toilet, which is the composting part. And the compost can sound misleading because this is not actual compost. The way a composting toilet works is that you put a substrate in it where it's either like peat moss or coconut coir or some kind of dirt. You put that in the compost bucket part, and then you do your business. And then there's a churner that churns it up, and it makes it so it like doesn't smell. It like mixes with the dirt. It doesn't smell. You can't see it. Like it's just basically dirt at that point. But you can't use that as compost because human waste is not compostable unless you do a certain process with it. Like you have to have it composting for a certain amount of time and blah, blah, blah. So you can't use it as actual compost. The only reason it's called a composting toilet is because you are doing your business into a composting material. So there's that. The way to dispose of this is like the best way to dispose of it, which sounds controversial, but this is literally on the website. And every time I post a video on how I empty my toilet, everybody's got something to say about it, but this is the way to do it. You take the bucket, sorry if this is graphic or gross, but you take the bucket, you dump it into a trash bag, and I like to double up the trash bags, and then you throw it away. You just toss it in a dumpster. Preferably not a dumpster that's like very public. I would say bring it to like one of those big dumpsters that's behind like a Safeway or something, or behind something, I don't know. And then I like to like label it and put like waste or like do not open, just in case somebody's like dumpster diving or something and tries to open it. They're not gonna, so they're probably not gonna open it anyway, but that is the best way to dispose of it. You can also, technically, if there's no toilet paper or anything in it, if you are in the woods, and I wouldn't do this because like, I think there's already too many people out there on trails and stuff shitting in the woods, and it's just gotten so oversaturated, but you can dig a deep hole and then bury it. But I have only had to do that once when I was in Europe, and it's a lot more effort, so dump it into your trash bag. But anyway, in my other vans, the toilet setup I had was the xoxo. I love the xoxo, have had a great experience, but the Nature's Head is just a lot easier to use, and it's bigger, so you don't have to dump it as often. The xoxo toilet was great, but there was like some smells that came from it. Not to get too into it, but it just wasn't my favorite. But I do have that in my van now, my third van, and it works. It's not a bad setup. But yeah, if you're moving to a van, I would say a toilet is completely necessary. Moving on from the potty talk, moving on from the shower talk, let's talk about electrical, because that's another question I get. When people are moving to van, they're like, what electrical setup should I get? Because the easiest option is just getting one of those portable power banks, right? Like a Jackery or a Blue Eddy or a like Goal Zero power station. And those are great, but I would highly recommend doing a full power setup in your van. You'll thank yourself later. It's just going to make your life a whole lot easier. My ideal power setup, which I've had in all of my vans now, is 2 solar panels on top. Goes into, and my first van was 2 100-watt solar panels. On this van that I have right now, I have 2 250-watt solar panels, I think. So it's 500 watts total. So 2 solar panels, whatever the wattage, going into a battery. And then the battery, from there, you run all your appliances off. So you have a fuse block that comes from your battery, and you run your appliances from there. And alternatively, I would also say definitely have a DC to DC charger. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a charger that connects to your vehicle's battery that will charge your house battery, the one that's being charged from your solar panels also, when you're driving. And this is really nice because there are times when you're not going to be getting a lot of solar and when your only chance of power is going to be running your van. So I would say those two are essential. I would not want to live in a van without solar and a battery to battery isolator or DC to DC charger. They go by both names. The ones I have solar panels are from Renogy. My batteries are from Battleborn. My DC charger is from Victron. God, I'm trying to remember all this stuff. And my inverter is also Renogy. The inverter is basically, how do I explain this in like the simplest terms? All of that power that comes from your batteries is called DC power, direct current. Now, if you want to run things that run off of a standard household outlet, like one that you plug into, you're gonna need an inverter, because an inverter turns the DC current, the direct current, into AC current, or I think it's alternating current or something like that. It turns DC to AC. AC power is used for appliances like a blender, a microwave, charging your laptop or whatever. So if you want to have standard household outlets, you're going to need an inverter. And I have just always used Renogy. So that is my power setup. I think I do have a video on my page about my power setup, but if you want a good resource for electricity in vans, I have always modeled all of my electrical stuff off of Far Out Ride. So you can go to faroutride.com. They have a really, really good free electrical guide, and it's very explanatory. They know what they're talking about. They've lived in vans for a while, and I have never had like a big issue with that electrical setup. They have everything you'll need on there. The wiring, the specific wiring you'll need for the amps that's going through and all that. There's a lot of details that you don't even think of, but they have it all in there. So faroutride.com is a great resource. As far as, let's see, I think that's it. We talked about shower, toilet, power. I get a lot of questions about laundry, like how to do laundry in a van. Just go to laundromats. Laundromats are like friends' houses or families' houses. Easy. Make a day out of it. What I like to do, like my ideal chore day in a van, is I would go drop off my laundry, and this is if I'm not like showering or like sleeping at a Planet Fitness, but if I just have a dedicated chore day in the van, this is how I would structure it, is I would wake up, go get coffee, go to the laundromat, drop off my laundry, put it in the washer, set a timer on my phone, and then I would leave, go shower Planet Fitness, get done showering, come back, switch my laundry, go get lunch somewhere, come back, fold my laundry, put it away. And then at that point, it's probably like evening time, go get groceries, put away your groceries, and then make dinner, go to bed. A chore day in a van usually takes all day. So there's that. But for laundry, laundromats are a lifesaver. And it's also kind of nice to have a chore day because it's just, you're just getting stuff done. I love a chore day. So anyway, just some other random advice that I have for living in vans, just that's not about the van itself. One, have some kind of storage unit or place where you can store your stuff seasonally. I made the mistake of just having all of my stuff in my van all the time, and it gets to be where it's just too much. So have somewhere where you can store your stuff seasonally, where you can store your winter gear if you're just going to be like in a summer climate, or you can store your summer gear if you're going to be in a winter climate. If you know that, hey, okay, every 6 months I'm probably going to be passing through Colorado, maybe have a storage unit there, or San Diego, or wherever. And then usually it can range from anywhere from like $50 a month to $150 a month. You can also do one in a place like Nevada. I know that that's a lot cheaper, and then you just have to pass through Nevada every once in a while. So have some kind of storage unit. It will be very, very, very helpful. Have some kind of money saved up for an emergency fund. I know there's this kind of like glamorization on being like a dirtbag, right? Like having no money and just hitting the road and not having like any money to your name or whatever, which is great. Total freedom. Being broke, that's some freedom right there, you know? And I look back on the times when I was like very broke in my van fondly, but I also do remember how much financial stress I was under. So having some kind of emergency fund in case something goes wrong, like if you have a dog and they get sick, or if your van breaks down or whatever, having some money saved up. I would say a good amount to have saved up is $1,500. Just have $1,500 set aside that you don't touch and that you can, use whenever you're in a bad situation or like an emergency, because not having that it makes life really stressful. And I have seen my friends go through a lot of stress with that. So I would highly recommend having some kind of emergency fund. And with that, as far as income goes, one of the most common questions I still get is like how to make money on the road. And there's a few different ways you can. The ways that I did personally was when I first got on the road, I was a photographer. So I had some photo shoots booked in the places that I knew I wanted to travel. And my travel kind of revolved around that work. So I booked a lot of stuff in Southern California. And then I would just go to those photo shoots. I would make a little bit of money, and that enabled me to keep traveling. And then that summer, I had saved up enough money to like keep myself kind of on the road for about 6 months. Like I had about, if I'm careful, I can, make this last for 6 months. But I still was like pretty broke when I got on the road. That summer though, I had a job lined up at home, which was a seasonal work job. So I was working as a freight forwarder for a fruit company. It wasn't a glamorous job, but it paid really well. I've had other friends that work at like weed farms, and help with the picking and help with the sorting and all that kind of stuff. And I know that can pay pretty well. You can also do seasonal jobs at national parks. So you can get like employee housing, which is really nice, and then just go like work at a national park for a bit. And that's really fun. So there's a lot of like fun seasonal jobs. I would say just pick one where you want to be for a few months, settle down, work, make some friends, like make a few months out of it. It'll be fun. So seasonal jobs are a great option. And then obviously there's working remote. Once I started doing social media full time, that was my main source of income. It is still my main source of income. If you want to start doing social media, I would highly recommend like you starting with UGC content, making content for brands that's not like on your page, because it's just a good way to kind of get into it, get a base for yourself, start to know the industry. If you don't know what UGC is, it is user generated content. My friend Maddie has a lot of tips and help on this. She's a UGC coach. Her Instagram is Whoa Maddie actually, and then she has another UGC Instagram that I'm blanking on the name of right now, but if you go to her Instagram, Whoa Maddie actually, she has a lot of tips on that. So UGC is a great way to make money as well if you're already traveling, because I know that that's very attractive to a lot of brands. A lot of my friends also have Etsy shops where they sell their jewelry or they'll sell crafts that they make. Like if you have some kind of skill, just market it. Like find a way to market it and start doing that. If you love to crochet, if you love to make jewelry, if you love to, sell crystals or mine crystals or whatever, you can definitely do that on the road. There's a market for everything. So get creative with it, But seasonal work, selling your art is a great option. Having a remote job. I have literally met people who live in vans and work for NASA. So you can kind of do whatever. Don't set a limit on yourself. And also talk to everyone you meet. Everyone you meet, try to start up a conversation with them if you can, because chances are like that's where a lot of the opportunities will come from. So try to talk to people, maybe see if they know of any jobs in the area. If you're looking for a job, like just market yourself and be personable and all that kind of fun stuff. Last but not least, another main question I get asked is, I am so scared to travel alone. How do I start? And the answer is, I was actually just having a conversation with someone about this today, that I went into like this boutique and we were talking about it, because she asked me the same question. She said, I'm kind of scared to start traveling alone, and like I'm not married, I don't have anyone that I would go with, I have a dog. I'm like, girl, you sound like me. And I told her, I was like, there's never going to be a right time. There's never going to be a time where you're like, okay, everything's aligned and I'm not scared anymore and everything's perfect and now I can just go. There's never going to be a right time. There's only going to be the time. So if you want to start traveling, just take the baby steps to like make that a thing. Start doing the little steps, maybe find someone to sublet your place if you're leasing, or find someone to rent it or whatever, and start figuring out where you want to go and plan a trip or whatever. And then just like baby steps, and we've talked about this before, start taking yourself out to lunch alone, start just doing little day trips alone, get more comfortable being alone, and then slowly work up to it. But I will say, if you are scared of it, just do it scared. I think the fear is it's not yourself telling you shouldn't do it. It's just your body telling you that you haven't done it before. Like, how many times have you been scared to try something new and then you've done it and you've loved it and the fear goes away? Probably a million times. So the only way to get rid of that fear is just to do it, which sounds cliche. But my first month on the road, I was scared and anxious and all the things and hesitant. But now it's like the easiest thing ever. It's just second nature. And that's just what happens. So trust your gut, set yourself up for success, get a good foundation before you start traveling, and then go off and just have fun. Like, don't overthink it. Just have fun with it. I promise you will be okay. Okay. I think that's it for the episode. I'm trying to think about anything else that we haven't talked about. That was kind of a lot. I was expecting this episode to be more like 40 minutes. Sorry, guys. If there's one thing about me, I can talk. I'm going to end this with my current favorites. Y'all know this is a segment I do in every episode where I talk about my current favorite obsessions for the week. So current faves this week, I've got some foods that are my favorites right now. Foods are chocolate tofu mousse. I just made this the other day. Life-changing. I'm someone who has to have a sweet treat every night, no matter what. This chocolate tofu mousse, awesome. Basically, you take a block of tofu, preferably silken, but I used just regular tofu this time and it worked fine. You put it in a blender, add like a bar and a half of melted dark chocolate into the blender, add a couple glugs of maple syrup. I don't measure anything. So some maple syrup, a pinch of salt, blend it all together, put it in a container, put it in the fridge, forget about it. Then it'll like firm up in a few hours and it's like this perfect moussey consistency and it just tastes like a chocolate mousse. You can kind of taste the tofu like a tiny bit, but it's really good. And it's really high protein and it's just yummy. So chocolate tofu mousse, who would have thought? Next, I have been doing, if you haven't seen the trend on TikTok of dinosaur time, go look it up because it has changed my life. I've been doing dinosaur time every morning where before I eat breakfast, I'll take a handful of spinach and just shove as much as I can in my mouth and try to eat as much spinach as I can. And then I'll eat breakfast. And it's just like a way to get your greens in without having to ruin your breakfast. Like, I don't really want to have a bunch of spinach in my eggs. I just want the eggs. And like, I usually have eggs and sausage. I just want the eggs and the sausage. I don't want spinach in there. So I'll just eat the spinach beforehand, get it over with, and then eat my breakfast as I would normally. And then I have my greens. So dinosaur time, great. Just eat as much greens as you can in one sitting and then whatever. Next, I guess this isn't a food, but my next current favorite, listening to happy music. I'm someone who loves a sad song. I love a sad song. It's so fun to be sad all the time, right? No, but I do love sad music. Most of the music I would regularly listen to is like pretty depressing. And then I realized a few months ago, I was like, why am I so down bad all the time? Why am I so sad? Oh, look at your playlist, Abby. They're depressing as fuck. So I've recently made it a point to only listen to really sad music when I want to feel my feelings. And if I don't, I'm going to listen to some upbeat, happy music and try to have that cultivate my headspace because it is just so healthy. So with that, my current favorite songs right now, first of all, 10 out of 10 by Rex Orange County. Great song. Have loved it for years. Discovered it during COVID. And it's just a great, very happy song. It's kind of just like a funky, upbeat one. Next, I just discovered the song Hush by the Marias, and it's the Still Woozy remix. So good, very upbeat and funky and groovy. And next, Santiago by Richie Mitch and the Coal Miners. They just released a new album, and it is amazing. Oh, it's called Colorado's on Fire Again. Every song on it is amazing. Santiago is my favorite. Very like granola, upbeat, and adventure-y song. So those three songs will be on my Spotify, which will be linked in the bio of my Instagram for the podcast. Okay, that's pretty much it. If you guys aren't following the Instagram, go follow the Instagram and the TikTok, Abby's Place Podcast. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, Abby's Place Podcast. And I will see you guys next Monday. Thanks for listening. Love you. Bye.